yourself and also introduce blueKiwi.
Sure. So I'm the CEO of blueKiwi, blueKiwi Software. I joined blueKiwi in January of this year. I pretty much been in the software industry on the enterprise side since the mid-80s. I spent most of my career actually in the US, pretty much everywhere. This is my fourth startup. So I started getting used to it. Great one, great piece. The blueKiwi Software started in 2006, pioneer in the space of enterprise social networks, moving into social collaboration over the years. The company is venture funded. We are about 40 people. We have over 120 customers, a lot in Europe, but some overseas. And we have also a partner network to sell in other countries. We primarily sell in France and also in the UK directly, and then the rest through partners.
So prior to our interview, we already had a little argument about the kernel idea of blueKiwi. I always was positioning it within the social messaging sphere, with social networking evolving from there.
Right.
But you have already a more extended idea or scope or an opinion about your solution.
Yeah, I think obviously it's all debatable, but the social messaging is clearly one of the services or one of the components of an enterprise social network. Obviously, the rich directory of people and all of the services around the people. Because when you look at the beginning, the inception of blueKiwi and many of the pioneers in the market, really what was felt was that what was missing was the center of gravity on people, processes, ERP, HR, and so on, document management, but then the people piece was missing. Who I am, my connections, people I worked with, my experience, my skills, and then obviously, being able to exchange in multiple forms, including obviously, microblogging and other pieces, and then the collaboration aspect, wikis, working on documents, could be office documents as well, project-based and so on, project-related activities and so on. So it goes, obviously, maybe everybody started or some started social messaging, but today every single vendor goes beyond just the messaging aspect.
But in terms of the good adopters of your solutions, what do you see? Are there any specific characterizations like industry or sizes who are the better adopters? So who are the early adopters of this software or of these approaches? There are many companies trying this out. Some are not achieving the results, and some are better achieving it. So, do you have?
Yeah, I think it's not so much a matter of the industry. So first off, our pretty much range of customers in terms of sectors, we cover everything. We got from manufacturing goods, industrials, obviously oil exploration, gas exploration, and so on. So to clearly health industry being interested today, to consumer goods, food, agriculture, and obviously all of the services, software vendors, system integrators, all the financial industry, although they have other type of issues around some of the regulations and security, but overall the spectrum is very large. As far as the size is concerned, also because we are a cloud provider, pretty much the range, and it's more focus of the marketing and sales, but the range of customers go from the largest we have is around 60,000 users to the smallest being maybe 15 users in general, and then having a lot of external, actually more like an association or a foundation, having subscribers or members that can reach thousands. So back to adopters. It's not really better, but it's earlier. Indeed, I think they've been earlier adopters in this. But today, as we see it going into 2012, every single industry is waking up. every CIOs, every HR directors, every CEO is starting really to look at the contribution based on all of what's hearing out there in the market of clearly social collaboration, social business, because it goes beyond just the collaboration aspect within the organizations. And I can see that every day in the meetings that I have with CEOs and CIOs.
How far are those approaches of those good adopters already really integrated within the business process? So how far is the social collaboration already integrated in the flow process? Because this is always a discussion about the ROI of it, because a lot of people are saying, well, social networking, social collaboration is only for administrative and above the flow tasks, and this is not supporting the value generation. So
Well, it's a good point. I think today it's very early from that standpoint of business process integration. I think most vendors are working on it, talking about it. We also see suddenly the application vendors, the ERP vendors, and financial solutions and so on, moving into that direction or looking at how they can themselves, take advantage of social capabilities. The intersection points is what they do, because as you said, the key piece here is that if I work in a context and I spend most of my day between my today email, office, and then my ERP application, because I'm in suddenly in a department where we're just doing account receivables, and I'm in SAP pretty much all day long. It is important that within that activity, I have access to some of the services that the social platform can do. But today, many people are starting to think about it, but the level of integration is very, very minimal. It's more on the document management and office management. It's more on the productivity side than it is on the application side that you see these integrations.
And especially for the integration into the flow of the processes, of the business processes, isn't a key feature or a key element of the social software spectrum the activity stream? Or mustn't it be a key feature? Because it brings up, within this activity stream, all the business activities must be updated, and it transports and distributes these information about what's happening within the company to the company. Mustn't this be an essential part, and it's still underestimated?
Yeah, I think that good point. We suddenly see a number of business events having a play or being important to communicate so that people can be informed, but also discuss it. So it can be obviously an event that is an exception. For example, a semiconductor plant is reaching a level, a threshold of stock, for example, depletion on specific components, and those components are very critical to get, and therefore you're going to get maybe multiple folks responsible for the supply chain of the supply of those components to actually discuss together. So you can have this event coming from the system saying, hey, we're reaching the level of only 10,000 semiconductor of these components being available. What do we do about it? And so people talking, say, well, we need a new source because maybe an event has happened somewhere, and that all of those situations, that's what makes that. When we talk about collaboration, we talk about using the power of social networking, situations like this one where we need to solve very serious problems, for example, of stock, for example, stock issues. It can be also in the resolution, obviously, of problems, reconciliations of, on projects of invoicing, stuff like that. So, and it can be also just on a whim. Hey, a big project that's been won somewhere, it's been actually updated into the CRM or another document, or a customer has voiced something, and you may want to surface that into a specific group, a product marketing group, or a sales group to say, guys, hey, we've won this is the deal, etc., as opposed to learn it in a sales kickoff 3 months later. So all of that is really part of obviously just bringing the news, as you said, in a paradigm today that is the activity stream, because that's the most relevant one.
Yeah, but then, because I'm coming back to my positioning of blueKiwi within the social messaging sphere, because for me social messaging as being with an advanced vision on social messaging is providing this activity stream with all the sources coming in, and this is not a small approach, this is a very central...
If that's your view, then we are completely in line, absolutely. It is definitely critical, and then yes, social messaging is a piece, but I think the characterization of social messaging makes you think of just communication people to people, as opposed to actually, you know, bringing obviously a number of activities and events that other people, communities, groups may need actually either to take a decision, to make a decision, or to take actions on on those events. So yeah, absolutely, the activity stream is if social messaging equates activity stream to some extent, then yes, absolutely, we're a social messaging platform.
How can this be aligned with with your cloud approach? If the collaboration and activity stream is the central part,
right,
and this is in the cloud, and your data is maybe not in the cloud, there's a big complexity on integration, also on security issues and so on. So
right.
Do you have problems, arguments and issues with your clients about customers about this?
No, we don't have. Actually, we are certainly firm believers that the future belongs to the cloud. It's going to be painful, it's going to take time. It's not just technology issues, it's, as you said, compliance, regulations, but we are moving there for cost reasons, for flexibility reasons, for skills, and so on. So yes, but anyway, when you look at the number of solutions today, the number of companies that are doing very well, there are SaaS players. SuccessFactors acquisition by SAP is certainly a testimony of where the market is going and the appreciation for these kind of solutions. That the world is changing and that organizations need to open up. When we talk about security, when we see even our data centers where we have our pretty much our fabric to run blueKiwi, we are certainly more secure and have more capabilities from a security standpoint than many organizations out there.
Okay. So what are your expectations on the E20 Summit?
Well, we based on the discussions that these different evening events that we've had so far, it's going to be very interesting, very exciting, a lot of debate. I think we're still in the very first inning of this transformation to a social business. Even more in Europe, where I think we are a bit more distant, but at the same time we take more time because we also think through more issues. So in the US, they have a tendency first to act on a number of things, they have intuitions, and then see how it plays out and correct. Here we have a tendency to plan more, to talk more, to do less, and then when we think we got enough, obviously, understanding and control, only then we're getting into it. But I think that although we've taken longer to get to that point, we are pretty much on the brink of seeing a very large adoption, and therefore the event in February, if I'm not mistaken, will be between bringing customers, the vendors, some of the pundits in the market into this is going to be exciting, and help us certainly define also the roadmap of tomorrow, and certainly meet with our other vendors and clearly customers to see situations, the use cases, because that's really around that we make progress. Is really as people use it and not just talk about it, what are the things that really need to improve?
So what are your plans for blueKiwi? So you already talked about your partnering network, so that you've got a partner approach, that you're France-based. What about the rest of Europe?
So what we, there are two things that really are priorities for 2012. One is that beyond the very large organizations, we see today the mid-market starting to get into it as well. Or we would call it the mid-market 500 to 5,000 employee type organization, where actually in one fell swoop they can pretty much get the whole organization equipped with a social networking platform, whereas in large organizations of 50, 100,000 people it can take years just because of the inertia in those organizations and other constraints that they have. So the mid-market is very important. The second point that you just alluded to is the international expansion in Europe. Europe is behind in terms of the US in terms of adoption, but that's also the opportunity. And Europe is there's no Europe. So there is France, there is Spain, there is Germany, there is the UK. You know, you got obviously first because of regulations and so on, you got to understand, but then also the culture, the approach, the vendors, so all of that has to be taken into consideration. That's what we're doing. But the goal is really to start penetrating in earnest those markets in 2012.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome.
For your interview, and good luck.
Thank you very much.